see a UFO, I'm going to be skeptical.
Yeah, super skeptical.
But it's interesting to watch the gradual shift that's happening in people who are like big time debunkers. There is not like, okay, I think they're real, and I don't blame them for saying I don't think they're real, because it's like really they're still going off of like just people saying it's real. But the fact that the people saying it, like Marco Rubio coming out now, did you see that shit?
Right, but isn't it interesting? This is my observation. What they're saying is they talk to people who say this.
Right.
That's everybody. It's including Grush. Grush is saying that he has access to information, and he was aware of information. He was aware of things that the public wasn't aware of, and so he wants to be a whistleblower because the public deserves to know about these things.
Yeah.
But he has no access to it.
Well, Rubio said he talked to people in the government who said they had firsthand.
Right. Right. But he talked to people who said they saw the thing.
Under oath, though, right?
Right. But where are those people? Like, until those people are standing in front of the camera going, I was on the spaceship.
Yeah.
I met the entities. They talked to me through telepathy.
Yeah, I think we might be close. They've got that hearing coming up, and I know that a lot of the or I like to believe that a lot of the sort of careful wording of things right now is to protect people who worry that they'll get killed. They have a sense of like, shit, man, they're going to kill me if I tell you this, but because he did it, I'm going to come out and say it. And, so I think they feel like, shit, we've got to be very, very careful to protect these people. I don't see any benefit for any body in the government to go on statement saying that they've talked to people within the U.S. military who have seen UFOs. What's the benefit there? Like, if it's not true, you're going to look like the biggest dipshit on earth. You're going to be ridiculed. It's going to ruin your career potentially as a politician. So I don't see much of a benefit in them coming out and saying that stuff. That's the part where it's like, I can't trace how Marco Rubio, what's he going to, the next time he runs, he's going to be like, I'm the guy who got tricked into thinking there was UFOs.
Right. Yeah, it has to hit sort of a wall of public demand, where the public demand is like, hey, what is enough people are talking about it. There's enough, whether it's Commander David Fravor or the New York Times article, Jeremy Corbell, all these different videos that get released, where there's enough credible people talking about it that they have to kind of address it. And if someone like a senator, Marco Rubio, has a conversation with someone when they're saying, yeah, we have crashed UFOs and we have alien bodies and we're hiding it from the people.
Yeah, dude. And then where it gets...
And this has been going on for 80 years.
Here's the deal. If you are a politician and you realize we've all been briefed on this shit and it is coming out, and you other people don't have the guts to come out and say it, you realize to be the first politician who came out and told the truth. Now, there is benefit there. Yeah. There's a lot of benefit in like the courage to come out and like support whistleblowers. Because, dude, I read an analysis of it that's so creepy because it points out that U.S. taxpayer money is being allocated to, if it's true, I'm saying, our taxpayer money is getting allocated to some organizations that are outside the control of the U.S. government. This is, and has been doing it for 50, 60 years. This is unconstitutional. Like, you can't do that. Like, what does that mean? That means that there is a second power structure within the government, truly like a secret something, and that is like we're paying for it, and if you're benefiting from the technology, if you're selling the technology to private contractors and making money off of it, that's supposed to be for us, free energy, whatever it may be. Yeah. So that is where it's sinister.
Well, also imagine if you're the government. Imagine if you're, let's say, the Air Force, and you have control over some vehicle from another planet, where you have. If the airport wants jets, they don't make them. They hire someone to make them. They have a military contractor that has all the engineers and all the expertise, and they hire, all these people that actually make jets. Right? They need a jet, they buy a jet. So if they acquire a spaceship, they're not going to hold on to it themselves. They don't have the people to fuck with this thing. They're going to bring it to the people that make those things. They go, hey, you guys make the stealth bomber. Tell me what the fuck this is. Right. Tell me what the fuck this is.
Yeah, man.
And can we make one? And if we can't make one, can we figure out how it runs?
Yeah, at least tell us how it runs. Do you have any idea? I heard that like Jeremy was on my podcast, was talking about how it's apparently I'm sorry, Jeremy, if I'm misquoting you. This is from me. Mm-hmm. Obviously, like, so forgive me if there's a error in the way I'm saying it, but it's compartmentalized.
Yeah.
So some of the reverse engineering people theoretically don't even know that they're looking at wreckage.
Yes, that's what Bob Lazar said on my podcast. He said part of the problem is like science can't exist in a vacuum. Science is collaborative, and the metallurgy guys weren't talking to the propulsion guys.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody talked to anybody. You had like an area where you're allowed to go and look at the vehicle, and you were with your other teammate, and everybody reported on everything that was said and done. And
yeah, man.
And it was too limited for them to ever really figure out, in his belief at that time. So we're talking about 1989. If what he's saying is true, what he was saying was that they were bringing him to this area, and he couldn't tell his wife, he couldn't tell anybody where he was going, and they were flying him to Area S4 where they had this UFO. They didn't have just one, they had multiple ones. And this sort of aligns with what Grush was saying, because I think what Grush was saying is there's 12 of them. They have 12, which is like 12. Like for real, or are you guys like sending money to Ukraine you don't want me to know about, so you're showing me this? Like, that sounds so crazy.
Yeah, I don't buy the distraction theory, because it's like, man, the U.S. government's been doing weird shit with money.
Oh, but here's a distraction. What if this is just an advanced drone program, and what the U.S. government is doing with this advanced drone program to obscure it, they just start releasing UFO stuff and having whistleblowers come out that are actually intelligence agents. One of the things that they say, people that have been abducted, I had Travis Walton, this guy.
I've seen. I've watched it.
His
Yeah,
bobblehead.
Yeah, I've watched it.
Very compelling in his descriptions of his encounter with these beings. But one of the things that he was saying was they were talking to him, but it wasn't with words. Like they were communicating with him, and he understood what they were saying, but it wasn't. They weren't saying things like, "Hey, Travis, why don't you relax? Because we're here from planet fucking whatever it is."
The information was flowing faster because it was like boom right away. What I think, you get it.
Yes, right? They were explaining things to him in some sort of a telepathic way.
Wow.
And it was mind-blowing to him. And I think that that's probably the future of communication. Just like you can transmit information from phone to phone, right? You can call people. They're nowhere near you, but you can talk to them. You can send a video to someone. It's going through the air. It's just data, right? It's just information.
Do you think Travis and Bob Lazar and all these guys that have extraordinary claim believe what they are telling you? I don't know if what they believe is true, but what do you think they believe what they are telling you, in a way that they're not lying, they're telling the truth of what they're believing?
I can't tell for certain, but I believe Bob Lazar. I believe what he's saying is true. I believe he's telling me. Now, Bob, he had one moment where he was passing by a window, and he said he saw something that was small, and these people were standing over it, and he didn't know if it was an alien or whether it was some sort of a form that they were trying, like a doll or something that's supposed to represent the size of an alien, or some sort of a model of an alien. But he remembers he looked briefly through a window and he saw something small. He didn't see it move around, didn't see it talk, so he doesn't know what he saw. Yeah. Because in his world, as he explained it, when he was working at Area 51 Site 4, that's where he worked, he said that it was very compartmentalized. And his thing was, one of the problems with them trying to figure out, now this is assuming he's telling the truth.
Yeah, of course.
One of the problems they were trying to figure out was how to back engineer these devices, these ships. But the problem was they weren't allowed to communicate with other people outside of this very limited group of people that had access to these vehicles. And the people that were involved in the metallurgy were not allowed to communicate with the people that were involved in whatever the propulsion system was. They didn't understand what they were trying to decipher these things. But he said, and if you listen to the podcast that I did with him, that it didn't work, because the scientific method requires multiple people to communicate and share ideas and to explain, and they didn't do that.
You can't can't prove like that.
Right.
You need to share idea.
Right.
You can't do something and compartmentalize everything.
But my communication with him, again, I don't know if he was telling me the truth, but he didn't seem deceptive.
Yeah,
And he's a brilliant guy. When you
Yeah, it's clear he's clearly like borderline genius. You hear
Yes.
him speak, he's very educated.
And some of the things that he talked about came to fruition. Like one of the things was there was a concept of this thing called element 115,
115,
right?
yeah.
Now that was not really proven until the 2000s or somewhere in the 2000s. They used a particle collider and created this thing where it was a very unstable, very short-lived particle. But he was saying that wherever these beings are from, they have figured out a way to utilize a stable version of this element 115, and that's how they propel themselves. The things that he was describing were also exactly the same things that were experienced by Commander David Fravor, who was a guy who is a jet pilot.
I saw, yeah.
Yeah, and so he experienced this thing move in that same direction, that same way, where there was no visible propulsion system, but they tracked this thing going from 80,000 feet above sea level to 1 in 1 second. So that's the amount of time that it takes radar to track this. So it might have been less than a second.
Yeah,
This thing traveled from 80,000 feet to 1,000.
No time.
To 1 feet.
It's
No
like that
time.
thing with the hand. He says he measured the distance between the bone and the, when you get in, you put your hand in it and measure the distance between your bone and the...
Oh, the scanner.
Yeah.
Yes, the scanner.
There is a lot of things like this. Like Zachariah Sitchin was, there's a lot of stuff that you can think of that how could they know that at the time? But
Well, the Zachariah Sitchin stuff was interesting, right?
Yes.
That's all the Sumerian text. The Sumerian text is some fascinating stuff because it's all from 6,000 years ago. And by the way, Zachariah Sitchin, he's very controversial. There's even a website called SitchinIsWrong.com, and it's basically scholars of ancient Sumerian who say that his translations are completely off. But even if his translations are off, there's still a lot of really confusing stuff about ancient Sumer. And one of the things is their depictions of the solar system. They had a depiction of the solar system 6,000 years ago that shows the sun in the center, and it shows all of the known planets in the outside, and they're relatively accurate in terms of the size.
Yeah, and how about the formation of the Earth? Tiamat, Marduk. I don't remember which one is what, but that's
formation of the Earth.
That's the model that
Yes.
we use today.
Well, the scientists...
The asteroid belt,
Yes.
that's
Yes.
the model that we use today. How did he know that at that time?
I don't know how they knew that. When you're saying it's Earth 1 and Earth 2, and what that means is that there was an original version of Earth, and then Earth was hit by another planet at some point in the distant past, and that's what created the moon, and that's also what created the asteroid belt. It's pretty interesting, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting, like how little people seem to care.
Because we already know.
I know, but it's interesting that like there wasn't like some moment where people like were like, "Holy shit, aliens are real." There
Pretty
wasn't a
soon
moment.
that's coming.
You think? I think it's because of this slow trickle. It's going to be, we just accept it.
Well, they try to normalize it with like War of the Worlds, which is like the Battle of Los Angeles and shit like that. That was a real fucking thing that happened. The pictures of Battle Los Angeles is crazy.
What happened exactly?
There's
Los Angeles?
There's this big object in the sky, and we're shooting machine guns at it. We
What year
got
was this?
spotlights. This is like in the 50s, maybe. Look at this shit.
Wow.
So we're putting fucking
they have
rounds on
these
this fucking thing.
Spotlights on this thing in the sky.
Look at the rounds.
Right, but what is it? What is it that they see? That's weird. That all you can see is spotlights.
1947, it says in there.
Boy, that looks like a fucking flying saucer.
Look at
That
in
one?
the middle,
Yeah.
and but those things around it, those are fucking like Ma Deuce rounds. Like they're shooting at this fucking thing. They don't know what it is.
Well, you know that there's a famous story from the Soviet Union that these guys shot at a UFO and it turned them into stone.
Is it true?
I don't know. The CIA investigated it. Here, I'll send it to you, Jamie, because I sent it to Jeremy Corbell. And that's what I asked him.
Fuck, I should have had links, Jamie. God damn it.
Well, this is the only link I have. It's
CIA UFO turned into stone.
You can find that.
You're definitely
find
on a
it?
watch list, Jamie.
yeah. So there's literally like a CIA document about it. That these guys supposedly shot at a low-flying spaceship. According to the KGB materials, a quite low-flying spaceship in the shape of a saucer appeared above a military unit that was conducting routine training maneuvers. For unknown reasons, somebody unexpectedly launched a surface-to-air missile and hit the UFO. It fell to Earth not far away, and 5 short humanoids with large heads and large black eyes emerged from it. It is stated in the testimonies by the 2 soldiers who remained alive that after freeing themselves from the debris, the aliens came close together and then merged into a single object that acquired a spherical shape. That object began to buzz and hiss sharply and then became brilliant white. In a few seconds, the spheres grew much bigger and exploded by flaring up with an extremely bright light. At that very instant, 23 soldiers who had watched the phenomenon turned into stone poles. Yeah, only 2 soldiers who stood in the shade and were less exposed to the luminous explosion survived.
No shit.
The KGB report goes on to say that the remains of the UFO and the petrified soldiers were transferred to a secret scientific research institution near Moscow. Specialists assume that a source of energy that is still unknown to Earthlings instantly changed the structure of the soldiers' living organisms, having transformed it into a substance whose molecular composition is no different from that of limestone. Oh my God.
It turned them into limestone.
Turned them literally into limestone.
And this is a CIA paperwork?
Well, this is, they're reading from a KGB file, right? So it's just, go to the very bottom of that again, Jamie, the very bottom of that. It says, one of the things it says, the CIA representative stated, if the KGB file corresponds to reality, this is an extremely menacing case. The aliens possess such weapons and technology that go beyond all our assumptions. They can stand up for themselves if attacked. But the thing is, they're saying if the file corresponds to reality, that means there's a
If this is real, they're tough.
Yeah, they can fuck with you. When they detonated the bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, that's when UFOs started coming. And all the UFO activity ramped up substantially. And
Why do you think that is?
Because I think they realized we have nukes. Like, these crazy motherfuckers that just wipe out whole cities with nukes. These fucking assholes, they had to come down and go, whoa, whoa, whoa. What are you doing, man? What the fuck are you doing?
That's why you think they came like, yo, hey, they fucking nuclear weapons. What the fuck is going on? Who gave them nuclear weapons?
Well, I think they realized we reached a level of technological sophistication that we could kind of kill everybody on Earth.
Or you think one of them went rogue and taught us?
I don't think one of them went rogue and taught us, because there's a very, like, if you go and look at the Manhattan Project and you go and look at the history of splitting the atom, there's a very clear academic paper trail of how they figured this out and all the trials that they did and what they did when they detonated the Trinity bomb, which, by the way, was one of the first times they ever discovered those nanodiamonds. It's called, I think they call it trinitite, and it's like nuclear glass, they call it as well. And it's what happens when a massive impact hits sand and it turns it into this kind of glass.
I think that because when it come with all the visits, what were they visiting to do? Because I know, they ought to say like we caught one or something like that.
Yeah.
If you did you try to torture him and get stuff out of him? What would be the thing? But what were the visits if they wasn't teaching something? Cause I believe in it. I just don't know what they were visiting to do.
Well, the way I describe it is there's a great show on Netflix called Chimp Empire. And Chimp Empire is all about these scientists that are embedded in this chimp tribe. And they've been there for 30 years. Because these scientists have been there for 30 years, the chimpanzees behave like there's no people there. They can get within 20 feet of these chimpanzees. Chimpanzees, as long as they don't eat in front of them, and as long as they never present any sort of danger, raise their voices, and as long as they just stay back, the chimps don't pay attention to them at all. They just go throughout their life. And so these scientists are observing these chimpanzees, and then the cinematographers captured all of this. I think the way we treat chimpanzees is probably, and they let them kill each other. They do wild shit to each other, these chimps. They engage in territorial warfare. They fight over access to fruit. I think the aliens would treat us the same way. I think they would observe us, but not do anything. And I think if we did something fucking dangerous, like nuclear bombs, then they would go, whoa, okay. Because I think if alien societies do exist, an intelligent life is out there in the universe. I think what happens is they keep getting more and more and more and more sophisticated. And in the beginning, they engage in tribal warfare. And as they become more and more sophisticated, their technology becomes far too dangerous to keep doing that same shit. And that's when they observe them, because it's this perilous tipping point where we could completely wipe out life on Earth, or we can evolve and get to the next stage of existence where we could coexist harmoniously throughout the universe and join some fucking global, some rather universal group of beings. That's possible. Believe it. Tesla believes he was getting signals from some other either some other planet or some other life forms. He had some weird shit that he wrote that's hard to decipher about what he. See if you can find that, because that's a very interesting thing, Jamie. See if you can find what did Tesla like. Tesla had a take on receiving information from other galaxies. He had this take on where some of his inventions were coming from. It's like what or some of the transmissions that he would receive. I mean, god damn it, wouldn't it have been amazing to talk to that guy?
Yes.
Imagine having Nikola Tesla on the podcast.
Oh. Who knows, man? Maybe you still can one day.
Maybe bring him back.
Yeah, bring him back. Or like create an AI Tesla. I think a lot of people have that feeling, and some of them just don't come out of the closet, so to speak, with it because they're afraid they're going to get judged or ostracized. I think a lot of people feel like they have a direct contact with some kind of sentience that isn't embodied inside of them, and it's giving them ideas, and they're just terrified to put it out to the world because it sounds like you're fucking nuts.
His claims of receiving signals from outer space were proven right a century later. Ooh. During the summer of 1899, Tesla set up a field laboratory in Colorado Springs, Colorado to the possibilities of using high altitude stations to transmit information and electric power over long distances. 1 July.
This is not what
not
I'm
it?
talking about. This is about just signals, not like him getting.
Oh, okay. Where is the signals?
This is like radio signals.
Oh, that he was getting radio signals from other planets.
After the ruling out, I think this is about sending.
After ruling out solar and terrestrial causes, he concluded the signals must be from another planet.
He had a seizure and had a vision, which is what, like, that's a...
Yeah, well, here it says, on 1 July day, while tracking lightning storms. Oh, so it's his actually equipment. His equipment picked up a series of beeps. After ruling out solar and terrestrial causes, he concluded the signals must be from another planet. The following Christmas, in response to the American Red Cross's request for a prediction of the greatest scientific achievement of the coming century, Tesla wrote, "Brethren, we have a message from another world, unknown and remote. It reads, 1, 2, 3. In 1996, scientists published a study replicating Tesla's experiment and showing that the signal was in fact caused by the moon low passing through Jupiter's magnetic field. Holy fuck. He was picking up a moon passing through Jupiter's magnetic field.
Yeah. But he had woo ideas too, man.
Oh, yeah. He was in love with a pigeon.
He's in love with a pigeon. Not just that, though. He, I think he did think he was in contact with, some kind of sentient intelligence, for sure.
Why not? Why wouldn't you think? If you're that smart, imagine how smart he was in comparison to, a regular dope. Hey, mister, you want to buy a paper? You know, those people from back then? Some fucking dude selling papers in the corner, and then the greatest genius the world's ever known up to that point.
Yeah.
Wandering around, trying to figure out how to send electricity through the sky.
Maybe that's all intelligence is, though, man. It's like having the willingness to let yourself go crazy enough to believe you're not the creator of your idea.
But the question is, why would we assume that it's a biological entity? It doesn't have any windows. It's this round thing that looks like a Tic Tac. If there is some sort of advanced propulsion system, some revolutionary way of moving through space and time that the U.S. government has developed, in some Black Ops program, that seems very likely and possible. That seems more likely than aliens visiting us. But there's more than one incident, and there's a lot of these things. And the possibility of alien life in the universe, although we've never experienced it, seems rational. It seems very rational. And if you were going to study an emerging civilization that is both primitive and warlike and yet insanely technologically advanced, to the point where they have nuclear weapons, they can transmit video through the sky, they have propaganda, they have tracking of their citizens, that's us. Mm-hmm. That's us right now. And while we are these territorial, primal beings with fucking nuclear weapons, this would be a good time to start exposing yourself.
Yes.
And to stop this nonsense.
Insanity.
Yeah. And look, the reason why we named the rooms at our club Fat Man and Little Boy is because in UFO lore, that's when they started showing up. After the detonation of the atomic bombs in Japan, that's when the UFO sightings ramped up.
And they ramped up
Considerably.
mostly in the U.S., right?
Yes.
So that's interesting because the U.S. was the nuclear power. So
And we were the one who was doing a lot of fucking testing.
yeah.
And also we have all these military bases. Who the fuck has more military bases than us?
No one.
Who has more nuclear weapons pointed at other people than us? We have them all over the place. And there's all these multiple sightings and eyewitness accounts of like very credible people who say these things have hovered over military bases.
It'd be pretty cool if these aliens were benevolent overlords and they were like, "Hey, my children."
Yeah. Or maybe even so advanced intellectually that the concept of an overlord is preposterous and they're just biological management. There's just the gardeners tending to make sure the weeds don't get out of hand and just like let this process continue to play itself out. Because this process of technological innovation it's the everything that humans do. And I don't know if those people are telling the truth. Because if the people that are telling the truth that there's biological entities, and this is what Jackie Gleason said that Nixon told him, and Nixon took him on, they were drinking. You know that famous story?
No.
Who knows if it's true? It's a legend. But the legend is that Jackie Gleason and Nixon were drinking, and that Nixon said, "You want to see some fucking aliens?" And they get on Air Force One, and they fly to some Air Force base, and they go to a place where they have a crashed UFO and they have biological beings that are in freezers. And Jackie Gleason sees this. And Jackie Gleason, after that, has a house built in upstate New York that looks like a UFO. He became obsessed with UFOs after that. There was a house, it was actually for sale at one point in time. Yeah, so he has this house that he had shaped like a UFO. And this is like, who knows if this is a true story?
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like, it was kind of sort of disputed. His ex-wife told the story or something like that. I forget.
I think that kind of thing is actually impossible to keep secret.
No, I don't think so.
Really?
No, I don't
you
think so at all.
generational, like
Yeah.
generations of government bureaucrats can keep something a secret?
Sure,
I don't
they
think so.
tell the people at the very highest level know about it. It's very few people. It's all very compartmentalized.
they're always-
They monitor everyone's phone calls, everyone's emails, everything everyone
Impossible.
does.
Impossible.
At a top secret clearance level,
No way. Impossible.
I don't think you're right.
Totally
You're
impossible.
definitely not right.
I think it's impossible.
Listen, man, they can keep secrets.
When?
People
Which
at high
ones?
levels of military can keep secrets.
Yeah, but they're
People
always
that-
rotating out. They're retiring. They're dying.
Yeah, they probably wind up fucking Hillary Clinton and a lot of those dudes.
Hey, listen, dude. This is not the.
That's a
this is not
verb.
Conspiracy Social Club. This
Might
is
as
the
well
Joe
be.
Rogan Experience.
I am not willing to relinquish the idea that they could keep that secret.
Well, that's 'cause it's
I think
fun to believe in.
Yeah, but it's not just fun to believe in. It is possible. It's a physically possible thing to do, especially if you have the right people and they're indoctrinated in the right way with top secret clearance. And by the way, it's not like these people don't tell their friends. And it's not like there's a bunch of stories floating around, because there
Right.
are. There's a shitload of stories
That's what I'm
floating
saying.
around.
But why would you, like, I would never keep that a secret. I'd be like, hey,
Well,
hey, you got
but here's
fucking
the thing.
aliens.
Here's the thing. When you have senators and congressmen who find out about this, and they find out that military contractors are the ones who have access to this stuff, because the back engineering program has to involve someone who has the capability of recreating this. So who would that be? That would be the people that make jets. If you got someone who's making you a fucking a stealth bomber, and you have a crashed UFO, those are the people that you want discussing, like, what kind of things you've recovered from a fucking alien crash, and can this be replicated?
No, here's the problem with your
I mean,
whole
don't
theory.
you know me, motherfucker? Because
Listen,
you don't
man,
know. You might be
this
wrong.
is you're wrong. No,
No, no,
this
no.
is
Don't say you're wrong,
this is
because
the
you don't
problem.
know that
This is
I'm
the
wrong.
problem with your theory. Ready?
Okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry, and I love that you want to believe in this, and so do I. But here's the problem.
Okay.
There's no law. There's no written law that says I'm not allowed to talk about aliens. And I mean at the level, the top levels of clearance, like the most secret level. There is no world where if I'm a government official and I take a bunch of pictures and I come before Congress and I go, here's my evidence, I'm blowing the whistle, there are real aliens.
You don't think they would go after you for
I'd never go to jail.
violating your top secret clearance?
No, because it's not violating my top secret clearance.
But it would
because,
be.
Nope.
I don't
Because
think
I'd,
you're
I'd
right.
never go to jail for that. Because I'd be like, you're going to put me in jail for exposing what everybody wants to know? The whole world would be like, holy shit, you guys kept
But
this a
that's
secret?
assuming that you have access to that material to extract
There are enough
it
people who
from
would.
wherever maybe not. Maybe those are the kind of people that wouldn't do that, Brian.
Listen,
You
my
fucking
friend.
communist. I don't like the way you think.
I'm shredding your UFO
No,
theories.
you're not.
Listen,
You think you are, but you're just using these establishment
you're allowed to
talking
talk
points.
about
You
UFOs
sound
and you
like
never
your
get in
dad.
trouble.
You sound like your dad.
Come on, man. First tell
You're
me
a
Andy Schultz
CIA
will beat me up.
stooge. You're a CIA
I'll call my dad
stooge,
right now.
And you're in here spreading propaganda to the faithful listeners.
Listen to
of
me.
this
Listen to me. There are no aliens, and if there are, we'd know about it because it's
If
not
there is, you're
against
going to
the
come
law.
back on dressed like a clown. Agreed?
Agreed.
That's my bets I'm making with everybody now.